back to my channel, and today we're going to look at how to plot a land property using non-bearing and distances. Let me just open this folder that contains, I have a survey plan here that is in JPEG. So if you look this survey plan, we have bearings and distances. So bearings, they actually labeled from the side of the property all around. The distances normally labeled inside the drawn property, so and they're in meters. So assuming that you only have one control point, let's say M, and we have only bearings and distances. So how are you going to go about it in Civil 3D? So that's what we're going to look at today. I've actually typed in these bearings. Let me open it once again. I've typed the bearings from the bearings, so from M1 to TN, you can see it's 46 degrees, 32 minutes and 35 seconds, and the distance is 282.63 meters. So I've typed all this information in Excel so that it will become easy for me to plot. So one thing that I want to show you. So as you can see, from M3 to M2, you can see that is indicated the bearing is 38 degrees, 23 minutes and 36 seconds. And if you look keenly, that's not true. That's a bearing from M2 to M3. So how do you go about? So let me open this image with the paint so that I can explain to you. I can clarify something here before we start plotting. So if you look keenly, from M3 to M2, the bearing is labeled as 38 degrees, 23 minutes and 36 seconds. So if you look keenly, this bearing from M2 to M3. So if we draw our north arrow right here, you'll realize that this 38 degrees is actually from M2. So this is the 38 degrees that we're talking about. It's actually from M2 to M3. So if I draw another north arrow right here, so what about from M3? Since we are moving from, I've decided to go around from M1 to TN1, M5, M4, M3, M2, M2X to M2, back to M1. So if you want to find the bearing now from M3 to to M3, from M3 to M2, you realize that this is the bearing that we'll be looking at. Now, how do you find this bearing? So that's a back bearing in survey term, and in order to calculate back bearing, you actually just add 180 degrees to this 38 degrees, 23 seconds. So what we do, let me open a calculator. Now to find that bearing, the actual bearing from M3 to M2, we just add 38 plus 180. So that's a back bearing. Realize that is 218. And that's what I have here from M3. From M3 to M2 is 218, 23 minutes, 36 seconds. The same case applies to line M2 to M2, M2X. We also find that this bearing 102 degrees, 15 seconds and 13 minutes and 13 seconds is from M2 to from M2X to M2. Now the bearing from M2 to M2X is this one. Let me choose another color, right? Is this one. So it will be 102 degrees, 15 minutes and 13 seconds. You add to 180, so it will be 102 degrees, 15 minutes and 13 seconds. You add 180 degrees. That now the answer will be 13 seconds, 15 that's 2. And that's 8. So our bearing from M2 to M2X, it will be 282 degrees, 15 minutes, 13 seconds. The same case applies to line M2X to back to M1. So that's how I came about with this list. Some are just direct bearing, like from M1 to TN. M1 to TN, it's just direct. It is 46, 31, 35. Same to TN to TN1. So that's one point that you need to know whenever you want to plot property using varying distances. So what you need also is to have at least one control point where you'll begin from. So let us first of all open the Civil 3D application, and I also need to have my list, bearing and distance list ready, so that we move somewhere here. And also need to open the drawing the survey plan. Let me open the survey plan ready. So that's what you need to understand. You need to know the back bearing, how to calculate the back bearing. of a line. I'm actually using a Civil 3D version 2022, and I did a video on how to download and install it, but for some reason the video is pulled down. So the program has actually opened. So the first thing you need to do is to set up your units. And in order to set up your units, just type in the command bar, the bottom of the program. You'll see this command bar. Just type in units. Just type in the word units. Then hit enter. So you need to set your length, your bearing, the angle, and the direction. So my length, so the distances I want to set them to 2 decimal places, and the bearing going to move the clockwise direction. Then the direction control, you're going to select north. Click OK. But depending on the Survey Act of your country, you can choose the appropriate direction control. So here in Kenya, we normally use the north. Okay. So let me open the drawing. It said you're going to start, let's assume now we have the coordinates of M1, and we don't have coordinates of these other points, but we have the bearing and distances. So what I need to do is just to plot the point M1. So just zoom in. So these are the coordinates of M1. What I need to do is to just going to plot that particular point. Then these are the coordinates of M1. So what I need to do is I'm going to add a point. So at the top menu, just choose click points, and we're going to select the create points miscellaneous, this one here. And then looking at our coordinate list, we have northings and eastings. So we're going to use northing and easting to plot that particular point. That now if you check the command bar, now it's telling you to input the northing. So and my northing for M1 is negative. If you look at the top of the northing header, you'll see this negative. So it means that all my points are negative. Also the easting are also negative. So that's M1. Northing is negative 147, 167, 0.35. Hit enter. If you hit enter, immediately it will be the command tab will also tell you to input the easting, and my easting is negative 22, 135.89. So if you hit enter, it's now telling you to enter a point description. That's the name of that particular point, and mine is M1. Click enter, and it's telling to specify the elevation. From this coordinates list, now you can see you don't have anything like elevation. Just click enter to skip. It's telling to add the next point. Since you don't have, just close this. Just close that, and you need to zoom to extent in order to view the point that you have just created. So just in the command bar, just type in ZE for zoom extent and click enter. Now we have our point. What you need to do, just select that particular point in order to change the style and to add the label. So if you select it, then home tab right here, you will see this tool space, and under tool space we have property tab. Click on it. You'll see something like style. This style, just click this arrow, and you can normally choose standard. Again, this standard is in default. I need to click on this arrow again so that I can edit that particular style. So if you scroll down the bottom, you'll see this create stroke edit. Use it, and then now you see style is standard. We are going to edit that particular style. So click this icon, that one that shows paint and pencil. Click on it. Then I'm going to choose dot at the center, and that it's circle. So apply. Okay. Click OK, and then so our changes have been applied. And then still under the property tab, choose the point label. You're going to choose description only, so that you can add the name of that particular point. So we choose that, immediately you'll see the name of that point. Close that, click escape. Now we have a point. This is our control point. Assuming that we have, this is the only point, that the control point that we have, and we have the distances and bearings. So in order to start plotting these other points, we are going to use these points. Let me open my survey plan again. So, now from before you do that, okay, so we said we're moving from M1, this particular control point, from M1 to TN. So how do you insert bearing and distance in how do you create a point in Civil 3D using the bearing and distances? So you're going to add points. So it means you're going to choose points, and under points, just choose the create points dash miscellaneous, and you're going to create that point using bearing and distances. And bearing and distances is azimuth. So just select the fourth selection, that's azimuth. Click on it, and if you look at the command bar, the bottom here is telling you to insert or to select your starting point, and our starting point is M1. So just going to place my cursor this particular point, and you'll see it's so snapped. Just click on it. So if you look again at the command tab is telling you now to specify the azimuth. So the azimuth is the bearing. And now the bearing of the line M1TN, you said is 46. So I'm just going to type in 46, and I'm going to, after typing 46, I'm going to immediately add D for degrees, and D. Then next, I'm going to type in the minutes is 32 hyphen, and then 35 seconds, 35 seconds, and 35 seconds, and I'm going to control hold down shift and click a hyphen so that get this the double quotes, and click enter. Now it's if you look at this command tab again, is telling me to specify the distance. So the distance, if you look at this Excel, my Excel, the distance from M1 to TN is 282.63. 282.63. Then hit enter. The point description. So our next point you said is TN. So since you are moving from M1 to TN, so our next point is TN. I'm just going to type in TN and click enter. The point elevation is 0, so we're just going to click enter to escape that. And so if I zoom out, now you'll see our point is right here. Let me. Now our point is our TN. Now yeah. Now I'll move a little bit fast. So I'm going to type in, going to create TN1. So if we look at our diagram, from TN, our next point is TN1. So, and I have the details of TN, the bearing from TN to TN1, also the distance. So this my, so I'm just going to repeat the same process. So points, then create points miscellaneous. Then I'm going to choose azimuth, like that. It's telling the starting point, it's this one. And in order to specify the azimuth, the bearing, so the bearing is 158 degrees, 10 minutes. Let's click hyphen for minutes, and 05. Then type in the double quote, click enter. The distance is 15. Enter. Description, our point is TN1. Enter the elevation, need to escape that. So that's our TN. So from TN, you're moving from TN1, you're going to M5. Let me open this. From TN1, we are going to M5. So what are the details of the bearing of TN line TN1 to M5 is 102 degrees, 55 minutes. and 27 seconds. The distance is 14. The description is MD5. Not MD, is just M5. Enter. We don't have elevation, so that's our next point. So our next point is M4. If I look at my diagram, from M5 I'm moving to M4, and I have a line bearing, and the distance is typed in. So I'm just going to type in the bearing is 192 degrees, 55 minutes, 27 seconds. Click enter. The distance is 40. Click enter. Point description is M4, sorry. Enter. Elevation and have. Now M4. From M4, we're now moving to M3. So our next point is M3. So M4 to M3. 4 3. No, we're moving from M3. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm lost. Let me label these points so that you can see where I am. Let me label these points so that I don't repeat myself. Just going to choose our style, and I'm going to select the point description. So we are at point M4. You want point M3. So in order to do that, let's go to points again, linears, and then azimuth. So our point is from we are going to M3, M4 to M3. Let me check if the distance is 40. 4 to M3. Now the bearing is 102 degrees, 55 minutes, and 27 seconds. The distance is 40 meters. And our point description, we are looking at M3. Then elevation, skip that. Now from M3 I'm moving to M2. Let me show you. So this M3, I'm moving down to M2, and the back bearing of 38 degrees 23 minutes and 36 seconds is M3 to M2 is 218 degrees 218 degrees 23 seconds minutes and 36 seconds. So that's what I'm going to type in. So that's 218 degrees 23 minutes and 36 seconds. Enter. The distance is 219.08. Enter. Point description, looking at M2. Click enter. Elevation we don't have. So this is our M2. Now from M2 we're moving to M2X. So M2X, azimuth, the bearing of that particular line is 282 degrees, 15 minutes, 13 seconds. Enter. The distance is 23.13 meters, but don't type in meters. Then our point is M2X. M2X. Enter. Don't have elevation. So I think that's the last point that you have to type. And skip, just click escape. We're going to apply our style, our point style, to these 3 points. Just click home, then choose properties. And since you already modified our style, to choose label. Now we have points. So if you were to close and see, so let's check if the distance from M to X to M1 that we've just plotted, if the distance will check that we have on the plan. So if I was to use the measurement, I have this measurement tool, just select distance, and again to query the distance from M to X to M1. Enter. Now if you look at the bottom here, you have the report. The distance is 100. You can see my cursor. The distance is 102.80 meters, and that's what we have in the Excel. The distance is 102.80, and the bearing is 291 degrees, 19 minutes and 46 seconds. So the shift is so small, it's negligible, so it's no problem. It's not going to affect. So these are our points. That's how you plot your points. So quickly let us join those points using the polyline. We're going to move from M1. We're going to join M1 to TN, then TN to TN1, TN1 to M5, 5 to M4, 4 to M3, 3 to M2, 2 to M2X, then M2X closes back to M1, like that. So this is how you can create this is how you can note the property boundary using the distances and bearings. And if I was to move a little bit, I was to create a parcel. Let me just create a cell. So if you want to create a parcel, go to parcel, under parcel tab, the menu, the top menu, choose parcel. So select, first of all, select everything, and choose the parcel tab. Click create parcel from objects, like that. Then area label style, choose name square meter and acres, like that. I'm going to edit that. Don't want background mask. False. Change that to false. Under text contents, I'm going to edit that. I'm going to choose parcel area. This parcel area, I want it in hectares, and the position and 3. That then okay, guy, and then line segment. Also going to edit that. Going to edit the bearing. Bearing is not azimuth. The precision is 1 second. I think that's all. Okay. Right. Then now choose distance. Okay. Now apply. Okay. Now you can see we have a acreage. You have the acreage right here. Sorry for that. So now you can see the bearings are inside. That's not what you want. Just select one and right click, then select similar. Then under home properties, you're going to choose the information under this column, the flipped, is true. Now escape and look, see that now our bearing outside. So basically that's how you plot the property boundary using Civil 3D. So I hope this video is helpful to you, and if you want to create further to create parcel or appropriate if you want to edit this parcel further, I have a separate video that did a complete parcel creation. You can check on that. I'll include the link on the description. So that's all for this tutorial. Kindly remember to subscribe, like and share this video, and see you in the next tutorial next time.